Hey, what's going on? Yeah, you like the hat? I had a one of the recruits that I talked to during the week last week. We were talking about different colleges and college teams, and he mentioned Oregon was one of his favorites growing up. And I said, okay, well, besides the gear, and he laughed, and that's always been the case with the Ducks. And I told him, I said, well, I've got this pretty crazy looking fluorescent yellow and green O hat from Oregon, which I got God several years back when I made a very rare trip that way, that part of the country. And yeah, so here it is. I haven't worn it a ton. Definitely loud. I could definitely go out in direct traffic or park cars wearing this one. So, but yeah, just I like to dig in. I got all kinds of hats here. One of these days, I'll take the blur thing off and I'll show you guys around and give you a little tour of the headquarters here. But yeah, hey, welcome to Living on the Edge. We are coming off of week 2. Very lucky so far this year. Very nice weather. A little warm on Saturday. I was out at Gately Saturday morning. I'll fill you in on my whole weekend. It's Memorial Day Monday or Memorial Day. It's Labor Day Monday in the afternoon when I'm recording this. So yeah, just trying to get some work done here on a Monday. Friday, I ended up going to Naperville North and Loyola. And it was funny. I had a lot of people asking, why are you going to that game? And I'm like, well, very seldom. I almost always see Loyola at Loyola. It's just kind of a natural when they play Saturday. Well, at least for now, they play Saturday day game or Saturday day games only. So, at least half of the year, you can go catch Loyola up in a home game. Just thought it was an intriguing matchup. I had a chance to see Naperville North over the summer. I like Jacob Bell, Naperville North's junior quarterback, really good athlete, terrific young man as well, and wanted to see how he would do against some obviously one of the top teams in the state of Illinois. Luke Williams, another standout for Naperville North, and the Huskies have some players, so wanted to see that matchup. And as I've talked about earlier over the weekend, and I'll get more into in my scouting reports when they come out later this week. 27-6 final. I think that I think Naperville North played better than the score might indicate. Again, not to get all detailed with you, but 2 pick sixes Loyola converted, just really crushed the chances in Naperville North. Credit that Loyola defense. I mean, they're unbelievable. We'll get into again what Loyola has and where I think they stand and how good they are. Again, that'll all be in the scouting reports later this week. They're very good. They're gigantic. I've made mention of this to people. Second year in a row that Loyola is just big everywhere. I mean, big quarterbacks, big running backs, big linebackers. The linebackers are bigger than most high school defensive lines. Really talented team, depth. I don't know. I think the sophomore team had like 80. The varsity had well over 100. So again, it's amazing. I tried talking about this to people on Friday. It's like you've got programs that struggle to get 30, 35 kids out for varsity, and you have a private school, a private Catholic school in Loyola where, I don't know, they're getting 120 playing football for 4 years, and none of the kids quit and say, I'm not playing, I'm not going out. They all go out and they all stick with it. So it's a credit to Loyola and a credit to those coaches, obviously going back to when John Holisick was there, now including Bo Degereau and the new staff, continuing to just build that machine, and there's something else. But Naperville North played a pretty good game here. They did some really good things. And again, I don't want to overreach and take away from the scouting reports, but Naperville North's going to be okay. Naperville North's going to be a playoff team this year. Maybe they win the DVC. I don't know how the DVC is shaking out right now, to be honest with you, but North is a playoff team as far as I can tell. And again, go read my scouting report a little bit later this week. Probably Tuesday or Wednesday, I'll have Naperville North out, and we'll get into it. Always enjoy going to Naperville North. Once you're able to get in and around and past traffic in downtown Naperville, which seems like, again, I know, get off my lawn. It seems like every time you go to downtown Naperville, traffic just gets worse. But I know a little back ways, so you do a little back ways around and get past it, get to Naperville North, and then get out of there. You're okay. But again, always enjoy going to games at North. I always enjoy going to games at Central for that matter too. Great hospitality and big kudos. And in the Between the Lines podcast, which by all means give that a listen. Mike Clark and I put that together every week. Kudos to Naperville North for providing a QR code for rosters. I know media guys are the only ones that give a damn about rosters. I mean, I think you fans should give a damn about rosters because I know fans like them as well. It's beautiful. You just scan a QR code and boom, you got your rosters right on your smartphone. It's the best thing going. And you look at what Naperville North does and their game day. They've got some great food places, real good pizza place. I think it's Jimmy's Pizza. Had a nice slice of sausage, very good. Just a great atmosphere. And again, really nice people. And I enjoy going to Naperville for sure. Nice to be closer to home for once. I'm not gonna lie. If I can avoid making that trip up to Loyola, really anywhere north, under the current construction season we have going. And let's face it, I had this discussion Friday with a fan. There's not a road in the state of Illinois that's not under major construction right now. I mean, literally right out my backyard, I-80 through Joliet. Anyone that's driven through there knows it's literally like a war zone. Just like the Kennedy, just like 294, just like 294 is just like it's like a bombing. it's crazy. That's how pretty much 80 was up until about 3-4 months ago. They're making a lot of progress on 80. Unfortunately, it's going to last for like another 20 years, but so far so good. But yeah, so I'm definitely kind of strategically going to see some teams maybe on the road where I can get away with it. But honestly, and I get asked it too, well, how do I determine what game to go to? Well, it's best team I can see. And if I can also see some recruits, that's even a plus. So I will go see teams that I just think are great teams. I do that probably more often than I should. But if I can combine the two like I did with Naperville North and Loyola, fantastic. So that was my Friday. Saturday, I had a great day. Saturday morning out of Gately. Again, this is the second week in a row at Gately. I don't know. I probably won't be back at Gately until the playoffs, the way things are going. We'll see. I still need to see Morgan Park, which I need to work on. I'm definitely going to get that done. And if I don't see Morgan Park in the regular season, probably pencil me in the first round of the playoffs to go see the Mustangs and Chris James's team. Went to Gately, Simeon and Sycamore. Again, just kind of an attractive matchup for me. I know HF and Marian Catholic was going on around the same time, and I knew that'd be a good game, and it turned out to be a wild one. I talked to Mike Clark on the Between the Lines podcast about that. So I enjoyed Simeon and Sycamore. I got a chance to see Sycamore up close in person. I usually end up going up to Sycamore, but I got the chance to see him at Gately. Joe Ryan, his staff does a tremendous job with that football program. That team is so well coached, and they just execute and do a lot of things well. And just really good guys, and it's a good team. It's a really good 5A team, and you can see why every year they're in the playoffs year in and year out. And they generally making it. They advance in the playoffs, and they run into a Catholic power, and every year 5A. Joe and I chuckle. I'm sure it hurts Joe probably more than he lets on. But it's almost like a running joke now, like, okay, well, which Catholic power are you going to run into in 5A this year? And we mentioned, okay, well, maybe it'll be Joliet Catholic this year. You don't know. Some years it's Montini, some years it's Naz, some years it's amazing the run of luck or bad luck, if you will, that Sycamore has had over the years. But again, they win a ton of games. They play in a really good conference. They're battle tested, even when they play those Catholic powers. They give them games. They're always tight. They're always very close. One of these years, folks, Joe Ryan's going to win a state title. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Good team this year. Very young team this year. And again, don't want to sound like a broken record, but more details in the scouting report. Burke Goucher is a really good-looking player. He is going to be he's going to continue to get Power 5 looks and offers. Getting recruited more as a safety outside linebacker. He is playing quarterback this year. I thought did a really good job. I mean, he's just a great athlete. He is just a well-rounded, can do a lot of things well athlete. He reminds me of a kid that would be like an Iowa recruit where, people list him as a 3-star and he'll be a safety. And then 3 years from now, he'll be 6'4", 240, either as an outside backer, rush end type, or he'll keep the weight a little bit down a little bit and stay in the 210, 220 range and play safety. Just going to be that kind of player. Very, very steady, very reliable, athletic, good speed. Love to watch him on defense. Made some really nice tackles and some open field plays. On the defensive side, as I mentioned, he's playing quarterback, and so he's very involved and basically never leaves the field. Very solid team, but Burke is the standout player for sure for Sycamore this year. And again, that's a team that's going to win a lot of games. Simeon, the D is going to be very good, and we've seen the first 2 games. You see the score. I think it was it 27? No, 20. I think it was 27-6 and 28-7 was the other score on Friday. So they were almost identical. And really, the game got away from Simeon late in the second half. Sycamore put up a couple late scores, and Simeon kind of got worn down a little bit. But defensively, Simeon's defense is going to carry them a long way. Now that Simeon's getting out of the non-conference portion, and again, played Wheaton South and Sycamore. There's no shame in that game at all for Simeon. Those are 2 really good non-conference opponents. I give them all the credit in the world. Again, I mentioned the defense. You've got Christopher Burgess, the junior, 4-star ranked. He's a Power 5 guy. Hell, he looks like he's 2 inches taller and 20 to 30 pounds heavier than when I saw him a year ago. Absolute monster. Had a good game. Again, I think he's more of a pass rush specialist, and Sycamore is all about the run game. So, again, kind of maybe limits his effectiveness a little bit. Mike Schunbeeler, again, is a senior. He's got some Power 5 stuff as well as a lot of FBS offers, and also a very, very good player for the Wolverines and a Division I guy. Offensively, kind of a struggle. Simeon really couldn't get a ton going consistently with the passing game, which, again, I think we all forget that Simeon graduated Malik Elzy. So, yeah, you lose a kid of that ilk off your roster, and it's going to change things a little bit. And, yeah, the passing game kind of struggled a bit. What Simeon was able to do, most of it was on the ground, and pretty solid offensive line. I just think that, skill-wise, they just struggled. And, again, once you get onto this non-conference portion, they get into conference play. I think Simeon will put some things together, and they're going to be a playoff team. There's no doubt in my mind. Simeon's going to wind up 6-3, 7-2. Maybe 6-3, 5-4, because I'm pretty sure they still have Morgan Park and Kenwood. They're also 2 very good public league teams as well. So, again, that was my Saturday. My son came home. I have an older son, older daughter. They're in their 20s, so my son's married, lives in Missouri, came home for the weekend, just had some free time. So it was cool. I had a chance to hang out with my son a little bit, took a little time. That's why the polls were out late yesterday and what have you, because I took a little bit of time to enjoy my son and came home and went to a very cool place on Saturday. I give my daughter Shannon all the credit in the world for lining this up. Went to a place, and some of you might have been there. Maybe you guys don't know this exists. I never really knew about it until Saturday. Called Galloping Ghost in Brookfield, in downtown Brookfield. Best way to describe it is just a really big building loaded with old school video games. It's like a old school video arcade, just packed with. I mean, every old school game known to mankind, and I'm talking. I mean, I played Pong. My wife and I played Pong at this place. I played Knockout, Mike Tyson's Knockout. Was it Mike Tyson? I don't know if it was Mike Tyson, the original. The original was just Knockout with Glass Joe and Pizza Pasta. And I played Knockout for like an hour and a half. I'm not going to lie. It's a really cool setup. It's strictly just arcade. So I mean, if it was up to me, it'd be great if you could have like drinks and a bar and food and, because I'm thinking like Dave and Buster's, but with like kick-ass old school games. That'd be ideal. But Galloping Ghosts is definitely old school games, and it's definitely kick-ass. Just no drinks and no food involved. So basically, it's $25, and you can play unlimited. So $25. We were there. I mean, we killed probably 3.5 hours like that. It was fun. All of us had a blast. My wife was playing different games. Like I said, I played Space Invaders. I played Knockout. Like I said, an hour and a half of Knockout easily. I kept going back to it. Tapper. I don't know if any of you remember Tapper. Now, this was the original Tapper. I remember when Tapper came out, and it was controversial because it had a Budweiser logo in it. So then they redid the game and made it Root Beer Tapper. Yeah, okay. And the game in Galloping Ghost was a Budweiser, the original, which I thought was cool. So played Tapper, played Paperboy, played Galaga. Is it Galaga? Galaga? I think it was Galaga. Just some phenomenal games, and we all had a blast. I mean, the place is pretty big. I mean, there were times where I lost my family and my family lost me, and none of us complained. So there you go. There's my ringing endorsement. Galloping Ghost in Brookfield. Just Google search it. You'll find it. Very cool place. Now they also offer pinball, but pinball is like down the street. It's like a block down the street. Didn't get a chance to check that out, but I think the next time I go, you can play in the video game portion, or you can go to the pinball portion down the street. They have like a deal. They have like a package where you can pay and go play both if you want. And what's cool is they basically give you a receipt, and at $25 is for all day. They're open till 2 a.m. So I mean, you could go play, go get some dinner, come back, play again. So we're definitely gonna do this again some other time. But yeah, go check it out. We had a blast. So that was my Saturday, and then come home Sunday and do work and polls and everything else. But as far as the polls, and let's talk polls. I'm going to include the poll video in this because let's face it, I don't want to drag out too much with the polls because we're just coming off a holiday week. It was a busy week poll wise. I would say the biggest. It's a fine for me because I have my phone on, so kangaroo court fine for me. I would say the biggest was a lot of adjustment up and down, a lot of changes up and down. You look at my top 30, and again, a little bit of change to the polls, and just to clarify everything for everyone. News. I am back doing stuff for Marquee Network again, which I'm very happy about. Just great people. Enjoyed those guys when they were originally working at NBC Sports Chicago. Now a lot of those same people are over at Marquee. So again, can't really reveal too much of what's going on, but starting, I'll say Tuesday, my free poll, my free 30, top 30 will be out, and that will also be now known as the Marquee Network Edgy Tim Top 30. So you will find that exclusively for free on Marquee. Hey, it rhymes. So you'll get the free side of it today from me, but starting next week, look for it strictly on Marquee, probably on Sunday afternoon. It'll be out. I'll have the original 30 out on the premium side. If things go well Saturday night, just depends on my Saturday schedule. And then the free will come out a little bit later. So again, no major shakeup. You have some teams that were in the teens that are up in the top 10 now. You have some teams that were in the top 10 or down in the teens now. There were some big movers. It's going to happen. I mean, when you got ranked team playing ranked team, it happens. Providence was one of the biggest movers down. They do stay in the poll again because, it was a bad loss to JCA, but JCA was a ranked opponent. I always take that into consideration. So I had them going from like 7 down to 28. We'll see. I think Providence will be fine. They'll figure some things out. But, I had a chance to see some highlights from that game, and JCA looked really good. So the new teams only had only two new teams into the poll, and 2 dropped out. Warren Township drops out, Minooka drops out, and again, Warren 0-2 could very well wind up back in the 30. 2 losses, 2 quality opponents. I'm just a little nervous at, let's say, the lack of points coming out of Warren so far. They have a not so easy game with Libertyville this week, so I'm very interested to see how that goes down for Warren. But again, I know our friend Michael will be out there and pulling hard for his Blue Devils. And, definitely be keeping an eye on Warren for sure. And then Minooka, who was at 30 originally, my hometown team. Close game, close loss to Neuqua Valley 10-6. So Minooka out for now. We'll see how things go as their season continues to progress. And Neuqua Valley to me is one of a handful of DVC teams still trying to figure it out. It's going to be interesting this week. I know Naperville North has another tough game at Bolingbrook. So Naperville North playing a really, really tough early schedule. Naperville Central taking on Lockport. So again, there's some things that we're going to get a little bit more clarity on the DVC, and I'm sure a DVC will come in. So the 2 new teams are Bolingbrook. We're all looking, scratching our heads, wondering what's going to happen with Bolingbrook this year now that John Ivo is gone and you have a brand new staff. Well, Jonas Williams is still at Bolingbrook. That I do know, and I know that Kyan Barry Johnson is also still at Bolingbrook. So that means your offense is going to be pretty damn solid with Jonas Williams leading it. And so far, it's been putting up some points. So hopefully if Bolingbrook can continue to get just enough defense and just enough offense, it could still be real dangerous. So I think Bolingbrook deserving of getting into the top 30 this week. And then also Carmel and Mundelein. I haven't talked much about the Corsairs, but, again, this is a team. And I know I've talked to Jason McKee, the head coach, a few times and just said, and I've talked to a few of the players, Johnny Weber, just say, this could be the year for you guys. But the thing that scares me is that schedule. You look at their schedule and it is stacked. It's kind of ridiculous how good Carmel's schedule is. I'm going to try to pull it up here for a second, but I just remember looking in the preseason, like, you got to be kidding me that, so the talent is there for the Corsairs, and, 2 quality wins to start the season definitely caught my attention. No doubt. I knew going in, again, they're in the ESCC purple. So quality win against Crete, quality win against Lake Forest. And again, you look at the remainder of the schedule now this week and next week. So DePaul Prep this week, Marmion next week, Marmion at 1-1, DePaul Prep at 1-1. Then you go Mount Carmel, Vider, Providence, Notre Dame, St. Pat's. So nothing's given for sure for the Corsairs, but I think they end up being a playoff team. And again, that 2010 win over Lake Forest is a good win. There's no doubt. That's a quality win for sure. So they definitely deserve to get in. Next teams that could probably get in, I mentioned Naperville Central playing Lockport. Excuse me, a win there could definitely could definitely help their chances. And then Downers North. Downers North is taking on Glenbard West. And again, it's a little tricky with the hitters right now because the hitters obviously get a nice week 1 win over Marist. Marist bounces back, beats Brother Rice. So that's definitely a quality opponent and a quality win for Glenbard West. The hitters go on the road. They go to East St. Louis and they lose to DeSmet 10-0, which again, there's no shame in that whatsoever. DeSmet, a very good program in St. Louis. Offense, scored 7 points in 2 games. That makes me a little nervous about Glenbard West, but they remain in the poll. Downers North, off to a good start. And I think we all kind of had an idea that the Trojans could be a definite team to watch out for. Pretty solid wins against, certainly Wheaton St. Francis is a pretty high profile win, and then also beating Downer South last week. So we'll see. That's a really interesting game on Saturday. I know I have something else lined up Saturday, but if things happen to fall through, I might wind up at Dushan Saturday. That's an interesting matchup. So I think Downers North is a team that is really very fringy of getting into the top 30. They could definitely, you get a win here against Glenbard West, you very well could almost pencil them in for the polls. And then again, going through 8A through 4A, again, I put those out on Monday. And I did that. I was going to wait until the weekend, or wait until Monday, but why? I already had them done. So, 8A virtually stayed the same. Lincoln Way East, Loyola, York, Maine South, Palatine. Glenbard West, as I mentioned, even though the loss, they dropped just one spot. They stay in. Again, quality opponent. O'Fallon, 2-0, playing very well. Marist, Lockport, Barrington. So no real major shakeups there. No one dropped. So that's pretty par for the course. And 7A, pretty much the same. Moline drops out. Moline had a not great loss this past week. So again, they're out. I put Normal Community in. Normal Community, couple of nice wins here back to back. Now Normal takes on I believe Normal West this week. I got this wrong on the poll. I got to correct that. So yeah, so that the Ironmen are always very solid and again deserve to get in. But outside of that, not a lot of change. Mount Carmel, Batavia, Edwardsville, St. Charles North, Quincy, Hersey, Brother Rice. Even though Brother Rice lost, they went from 4 to 7. Obviously Marist is a quality opponent. So Rockford, Hononegah with a big one over Harlem. Hononegah looks like them and Boylan are probably the two favorites in the Nick 10. Might end up at that game this year. We'll see. And then I mentioned Normal Community in at 9. Prospect also drops. Kind of lopsided loss for Prospect to Barrington. But again, I give Barrington credit. I think the Broncos are showing us very early that they're the real deal. They're going to be around for a while. So again, definitely keep an eye out and see how Prospect's able to bounce back after the Class 6A. Crystal Lake South gets out. It's been interesting with the Fox Valley for sure. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too traditional, but I stuck with Prairie Ridge and Cary Grove going into the conference this year. Some others haven't, and some others are kind of getting their faces, sticking their face in it a little bit. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's been kind of fun to watch. I love when the local guys are wrong and they catch grief from everybody. It's kind of fun. Because I'm usually the guy getting the grief, so it's nice to see someone else getting grief. But, Prairie Ridge playing well. Cary Grove 2-0. So Cary Grove's still in the 6A poll. Prairie Ridge is in 5. So Crystal Lake South drops out. And again, the Gators are going to be fine. Gators are going to be a playoff team. I think Crystal Lake Central will be a playoff team. I just think, you still got two monsters in the DVC, the Fox Valley Conference, FVC, that are definitely worthy. East St. Louis remains at number 1. They get a big win over St. Francis of Baltimore at the Scholars Classic on Saturday. They go to Texas now. Unbelievable. East St. Louis in their schedule. It's crazy. Kankakee stays in at 2. Close win over Washington. That was a little eye-raising, but they stay in. Rita at 3, Geneva at 4, Lake Zurich, Glenwood, Provi, even though they lost, they go from number 2 down to 7. Cary Grove, Libertyville, and now's Notre Dame. Round out my 6A, 10. 5A, again, as we mentioned, Prairie Ridge. I almost put them at number 1. I really did. I thought about it, but I give Peoria credit for playing Rochester in week 1. Not everyone would step up and want to play a tough team like Rochester to open the year, but Peoria did. Peoria turns around, gets a nice win over Danville this week. I decided to move them up. Prairie Ridge goes from 3 to 2. Peoria went from 2 to 1. Nez drops down to 3. And again, I'm getting a little bit of heat, not a ton, but a little bit of people about Naz. Oh, how do you rank an 0-2 team? They haven't won. Well, again, I'm a big believer in strength of schedule. Now, 6 weeks from now, that strength of schedule might look completely different than it does now. But you look at who they've lost to and how they've lost, and I mean the same thing in a lot of ways happened to Naz last year. The schedule's killer. Everyone in that orange side of the conference, their schedules are killer. Immaculate Conception, killer. Fenwick, killer. I mean, someone might not make the playoffs coming out of that conference, and it really has nothing to do with their teams themselves. It's just who they're playing. So anyway, Naz is at 3, JCA at 4, and boy, I tell you what, I also thought about moving JCA a bit higher. Now we'll see this week. They're taking on St. Rita. I guarantee you, Joliet Catholic wins. They will be moving higher. Morgan Park at 5. Again, you lose on the road at Mount Carmel. And again, I pray for those kids that got shot outside of Mount Carmel after that game. Just a horrible, horrible scenario, but hopefully things will clear up and things will be okay. But I don't want to overlook that at all. Just a terrible, terrible situation. But again, Morgan Park, I've said it from the very beginning. I said it last year. I'm saying it again this year. Morgan Park is the best CPL team this year. So take that for what it's worth. Sycamore, who I got to see, is at 6. I got Sacred Heart and Carmel tied at 7. Bennett at 8. Bennett with a couple of nice wins here, 2-0, taking on IC Catholic Prep. So again, a big test again for IC Catholic Prep. Metamora at 9, and Fenwick, I think deservedly so, enters the poll at number 10 this week in 5A. So good to see the Friars back in the poll. And Friars, pretty tough this year. Definitely keeping an eye on them. And who knows, I might just wind up at Triton College one of these days. 4A, Rochester at 1, IC Catholic Prep at 2, Richmond Burton 3, Boylan at 4, Morris at 5, Carterville at 6, Mount Zion 7, Geneseo at 8. Wheaton Academy moves up from 10 to 9, and Rochelle drops 1. Rochelle with a close loss in week 2, but not a whole lot of change there. And I think that's kind of how 4A is going to play out. I'm not expecting a ton of drama in 4A the rest of the year. So those are the poll thoughts. My game this week, man, that's a tough question. I'm still trying to figure it out, honestly. I think I'm going to wind up, I might have a home game. JCA and St. Rita is a really hard game to pass up, especially when it's 5 minutes from my house. Just saying, folks, you know, I love to travel and I will get out and I will hit it hard. But, you know, you pick and choose your games when you can. And if I can go see 2 top-ranked teams play 5 minutes from my house, I have a feeling I might be at Joliet Memorial Stadium, but could change. Check back later in the week. I'll let you know for sure where I'm going. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. And, hey, thanks for living on the edge.